Story 1. Stop worrying. Give yourself permission to treat someone the way they treat you. Just be careful not to say anything too hastily to any loved one. Story 2. Just do it. Even when your voice trembles, even when you stutter, just do it. Then do it more. The more you do something you are scared of, the more you will realize there is actually nothing to be scared of. You are just not used to it. That is why it scares you to actually do it. Whatever the reaction of the other person may be, that is on them. Just do it. Story 3. Your motto should be, what is right is right. If you are convinced that what you are saying and doing is logically correct, then you should not hesitate. Story 4. Practice. I still end up being a people pleaser sometimes despite scoring low on the agreeableness personality attribute. Usually, it takes some amount of anger for me to overcome social norms of being nice and saying yes to things I should not. Story 5. Remember that your worth isn't tied to your performance. It's okay to say no to things not aligned with your values, purpose, or anything that violates your boundaries. Everything is a choice and everything comes at a price. You can either disappoint people or disappoint yourself. The second one is crippling. This may well be your only lifetime. At the end of it, do you want to be remembered as a nice guy who never said no? Or do you want those final moments where your life flashes before your eyes to be full of things that made you happy? A man who is a friend to everyone is an enemy to himself. Go and find your people. Let go of the deadwood, no matter how long they've been around, and go find people with the same or similar interests, ideas, passions, and visions as you. You'll thrive when you do this. You are going to feel like the bad guy for a long time. Not everyone is going to like it, not everyone will understand, but they will criticize you anyway. So do the things that make you happy and give them something to talk about. Finally, you're not weak. From a young age, you've been conditioned in what to think and feel, especially if shrinking yourself is what a young version of you had to do to survive and feel love and security. Also, would you call your best friend or brother weak if he was feeling this way? Probably not. Speak to yourself in realistic and understanding ways. If you look back through your life, you'll probably only recall times where you let yourself give in. But look deep enough, and you'll recall times when you made difficult decisions and had to tell people you weren't doing something. If you imagine yourself as a character in a game, you start at level 1 with nothing. You don't upgrade through age alone. It's facing the rough challenges and bosses that give you new skills and insights. The discomfort you feel right now is great. That self-awareness means you aren't a fool. But if you stay where you are, you're only going to get more uncomfortable until you say enough and push through everything you fear. Story 6. It is not bad to stay away from confrontation, but if you think it would help you, then you can learn it by starting small. The second tip is to learn to speak up for yourself in a non-confrontational way. To be honest, that is better. It is mature and leads to better results. Story 7. I feel the context requiring you to stand up for yourself is quite important. You need to learn how to choose where to spend your energy in life, as many types of conflicts are simply not worth pursuing. Story 8. It's really hard, but you have to weigh the benefits of stopping negative behavior over allowing it to continue or worsen. Taking it to the most likely extreme, a fight. You might lose and you might get hurt, but if you fight back, fewer people will pick on you because they know you will defend yourself and risk getting hurt. If you don't fight back, people see that and know they can pick on you without risk, continuing to use you as a social stepping stool or outlet for their frustrations. Story 9. Just understand you are less likely to be taken advantage of when standing up versus lying down. Ignoring facts will never change the facts. Story 10. Give it a try. Stand up for yourself next time the opportunity presents itself. Push through the fear and anxiety. Pretend you are someone else, not your usual fearful self. The results will speak for themselves. Story 11. Start small. Literally, that's it. Drive-through got your order wrong? Go inside and ask for it to be fixed instead of just letting it go. Someone cut in front of you at the store? Assert yourself and tell them where the end of the line is. Someone asked you to do something inconvenient? Say no. Don't justify yourself. Just say no and move on. Allow yourself to take up the space you are entitled to. Story 12. Most people in your situation experience self-doubt. Verify that your position is correct, then speak your piece with confidence. Prepare yourself for objections ahead of time. Story 13. There is no trick. You feel how you feel. The only way to change that is to change the part that causes reluctance or anxiety. As someone who experiences those feelings often, I do it anyway if I have to. Story 14. You know what happens when people know that you will provide resistance if they try to push you around? They will stop trying to push you around and go for easier targets. You do not have to be an apex predator. You just have to be more trouble than it is worth. Story 15. The only way you are going to find out if the fears in your head are real is to speak up and find out. So yes, I guess another just do it post, but my point is you cannot prove anything until you test it. Right now, you are just fooling yourself. Story 16. Put the gloves on, get in the ring, and get punched in the face. Then get up and learn how to punch people in the face better than 80% of people. You are scared of speaking up because you subconsciously fear confrontation. Once you know you can hit someone with a shoryuken if they get out of line, you will be fine. Story 17. You cannot control what other people say or do. Just find happiness in yourself and avoid certain situations. I am confident and content with myself, so I avoid unwanted situations and do not let them bother me. Story 18. To me, it was a realization that I was once bullied at 10 years old. The other kid was bigger. He pushed, hit, and kicked me. I just kept walking towards home and kind of shut myself off from it. I have dealt with anxiety and depression since then. I went to therapy in the most desperate times, addressed my problems, and sought answers. I finally realized that this one-time beating was enough to cause so much damage. As I had been dealing with my feelings and working through them over the years, it was enough to recognize it, and my world opened. Story 19. Talk negatively in your car with the windows rolled up. Do not engage in aggressive driving, but practice expressing yourself vocally when you are angry. Story 20. See people for what they are. At the end of the day, we all go home, put on our pajamas, and wake up with a little bowl of Cheerios. I am reminded of a short manager I worked with at the grocery store who was older, grumpy, cranky, and rude. I told him no and walked off to work on my own. Seriously, do not be afraid to say something. Don't just stare at the ground or look at everyone else just standing there. Story 21. People respect you when you stand up for yourself, even if you are noticeably scared when doing so. Once you realize that people are not out to get you and generally do not want to cross someone's boundaries, it gets easier. Story 22. Many people feel that way, but they realize they are not alone and everyone has insecurities. Story 23. It is helpful to reframe how you think of things. Many people, if they knew they were affecting you badly, would stop whatever they are doing. Communicating your need is a gift to them because most people do not want to unconsciously affect others negatively. I am grateful when people say something is bothering them rather than being quietly resentful. Communicate respectfully in a way that does not associate the bad action with the person. People can be unaware of how they affect others. For example, saying, "Hey, just a heads up. When you do this, it affects me this way. I know you probably were not doing it on purpose." Sometimes people are somewhat aware of their impact, but approaching the conversation this way helps them understand it needs to change because it matters that you mentioned it. If someone is overtly rude, still state your needs clearly. If you respond with rudeness, you give them too much power. Communicate your needs, and if they respond poorly, stay calm. Acting with emotional intelligence and grounding gives you the upper hand. Story 24. You just stand up. Even bigger people like me get scared when standing up to challenges. Not even those bigger than me are immune. But you have to do it. You have to stand up or people will run all over you. Story 25. Try joining a fraternity or social club based on something you appreciate. These social situations will help you feel more comfortable in public, and over time, they will help you reach your goals. Honestly, asking for help is a big step, and you should be proud of yourself. More specifically, if this is something that troubles you often, mental health providers are a wonderful resource. Story 26. Set standards for what you will accept and what you will not. Use those standards to guide your decisions and reactions. Companies often say, "This is policy," and eventually people stop complaining. Apply this to yourself and you will improve at expressing your concerns. It is best to set firm standards and, instead of arguing or fighting, avoid people or situations that do not meet them. Unless it is work or something necessary, these standards can help you be more professional by adding consistency. Story 27. You have to accept that all the end-of-the-world scenarios you created in your mind are not real. In fact, you get more respect when you stand up for yourself. Story 28. The answer, as many have already said, is to just do it, even if it is frightening. Courage is not the absence of fear. It is proceeding in the face of fear and doing what is right anyway. That said, I understand what it is like to be bullied. I was an easy target when I was younger. I was a quiet kid, the overweight kid, and I was pretty shy for most of my early life. So I get it. Just do it is not always that helpful. But that is really what I did. I just chose not to blend in anymore and to stand out. Call me fat. I would just mock your inability to insult with finesse and go for the easy target. Call me something else? I would turn that around on you too. I became the last person bullies wanted to target because I would say things that would stick with them, and I reached a point where, if pushed, I could push back without ever throwing a punch. If you are completely lacking in confidence altogether, find and join a boxing gym or a martial arts program that appeals to you. Accept that you are a student who has everything to learn. Nothing makes you feel less vulnerable than knowing you can likely defend yourself against anyone else in a given room. That is not to say you should turn yourself into the bully. That is an unkind path. Just train yourself to be able to handle things if they go wrong, and you will be surprised how rarely you will actually need to do so. Story 29. Start by saying no more often. Be polite yet firm. Make no excuses. Just say, "No, sorry, I can't do that." After a while, you will see how many people are just taking advantage, and saying no becomes much easier. That's how I started establishing and protecting my boundaries. You don't need to get confrontational, just say no and, if necessary, use some version of, "I said what I said." Story 30. Workout. This may not apply to everyone, but you should experience a spike in testosterone if you work out, combined with increased self-confidence. Allow yourself to get angry. You already admit that holding in your emotions is not good, so let it out. Story 31. Practice using aggression. Healthy aggression exists. Being capable of committing evil is not the same as choosing evil. Story 32. Try reading No More Mr. Nice Guy. It is a good read. All in all, you deserve to be heard and to be happy. Story 33. Learn a martial art of some description. Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu is popular at the moment, though not as popular as Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. Find a beginner gym and build your confidence by learning how to fight and testing your limits. You will be able to stand up for yourself as you know what you are capable of, and as that capability grows. Story 34. Man, this advice might hit or miss, but I think you should try doing a combat sport like boxing or Muay Thai. It is much easier to believe in yourself when your mind and body are in sync. Plus, it is very healthy to know your own strength, what you can do, and how much you can take. It might sound dumb and might not be for you, but it definitely helped me. Good luck with that. Story 35. Go take a martial art, one that includes sparring. Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu is a good choice. Getting your ass kicked for real, even in a controlled environment, will make you take a hard look at the things that push your buttons. Also, knowing how to defend yourself builds a lot of confidence. Story 36. Just do it more often. Eventually, it will stop being scary, or at least it will be a lot less of a big deal. Story 37. The first step is identifying why you feel that way. Once I understood what happened in my life that made me so scared to stand up for myself, things improved significantly. Many people are conditioned not to speak up by school and parents, but you need to break that conditioning. Story 38. I read something that helped me from a military person when I was young. He said every man feels fear. It is natural. It is about learning to operate and function while the feeling is there. Story 39. I agree that starting responses by acknowledging a part of what has been said is an effective communication strategy. Building on this, it helps create a connection and shows active listening. From there, sharing your own views and opinions contributes to a meaningful and engaging conversation. This approach encourages openness and mutual understanding. Story 40. Did someone call you a coward, or do you actually believe your words? Are you being a coward, or are you weighing your options and realizing inaction is the best course of action? Story 41. Much easier to do when you are in a position where the outcome of speaking up does not matter either way. Story 42. 1. Have a conversation with yourself to understand your boundaries. What kinds of things are important to you, and how important are they? What lines will you not allow anyone to cross or are worth defending? This leads to thoughtful self-awareness. 2. Pick your battles. Not every fight is worth your time. Ask yourself which battles are worth your time. 3. Understand that no is a complete sentence. You do not need to justify it, explain it, or give an excuse for it. 4. Understand that just because something is a rule or a law, it does not make it right. There are plenty of morally ambiguous laws out there, and every one of them should be challenged. 5. Stop apologizing for everything. Only apologize for things that A. caused harm and B. are unequivocally your fault. Story 43. I was the same way growing up because I despised conflict. But now, I do not care how intimidating or dangerous the situation is. I spent too much of my youth being a coward and letting people walk over me, and when I used my voice, I was labeled as rude. Story 44. Yes, it can be just as damaging to yourself to be too buttoned up as a primal nature as it is to have an explosive primal nature. I suggest listening to the Being Well podcast with Forrest Hansen and Dr. Rick Hansen. I have an issue with an explosive primal nature and am trying to find a happy medium. Story 45. Fix up your self-esteem and self-respect. Something undermined it to make you doubt. Try to uncover those layers. Story 46. Practice and do not assume you have to go straight from being passive to yelling at people. You can be firm and assertive without being aggressive or losing your composure. Story 47. Start standing up for yourself with small things first. Ordinary matters that seem insignificant but may have contributed to the struggle with more complex issues. Story 48. Do physically challenging activities that will help build your confidence. Lift weights, practice mixed martial arts, boxing, or any similar exercise. Story 49. Why are you afraid? Just using that term puts you in a detrimental mindset. Learn to be comfortable with yourself. Know your strengths and weaknesses. Accept compliments when you succeed, and own up when you are wrong. Once you get comfortable with that, what others think of you matters less, making it easier to treat everyone as equals and stand up for yourself. It is not an easy process, and you will slip up occasionally, but grow from it and let it build your confidence. Forget terms like alpha, beta, coward, and weak. They are just labels people use to stop you from being yourself. Story 50. Do not have a picture of how that looks or what will happen. Do it on principle, and eventually it will become your nature. Story 51. Join Toastmasters to become comfortable with public speaking. Seek counseling to address beliefs that make you feel undeserving of good treatment. Story 52. Start a fight club by challenging yourself in a bar parking lot and inviting others to join. Alternatively, build your confidence through skill, experience, and embracing discomfort. Story 53. Visualize. Picture yourself being confronted by someone who intimidates you. Imagine yourself with calm breath and a focused mind. Repeat. Story 54. The most important step is to stop calling yourself a coward. In the first place, a coward is far less strong and durable than a vulnerable set of dangling testicles. Calling yourself or anyone else that is sexist and rude. If what you want is to be manly, then your best course is to embrace traditional female traits like nurturing, gentleness, and empathy. I was in the United States Special Operations Forces. I am a combat veteran. I can assure you that the most manly men I ever met were kind and empathetic. The second step is to read Marcus Aurelius. The third step is to set out upon the hero's road. Read Starship Troopers. Carry a pocket knife and a handkerchief. And keep your mouth shut. I wish you well. I am old. You are young. The best way to spot a good man is to observe how he treats those that he could harm. By definition, no one is manly who is not kind. A man protects. A man listens. A man stoops to help others. A man understands and is gentle and kind. If that pops your bubble, good. Join the United States Army or United States Marine Corps. Story 55. Stop caring about what other people will think or feel. Censoring yourself is just holding back your genuine version. By releasing it, those who truly resonate will come, and those who do not will fade away. Story 56. Go to the gym. Get into martial arts. Join the infantry. Being timid almost always comes from a lack of confidence. Do things that will give you significant amounts of self-confidence. Also, fake it till you make it. Tell yourself something often enough, and you will begin to believe it. Thanks a bunch for sticking around till the end of the video. Remember to subscribe, and until next time, stay awesome and goodbye.